Hello, hello. Uh-oh. uh,
Sorry.
no worries. Welcome, welcome. And now it's my phone that's ringing.
See how comfortable she makes you when you make a mistake, she goes ahead and makes you feel comfortable. That's awesome.
No, I'm just teasing. No worries. Welcome, everyone. Hello, Remy. Hello, Lynn. Yes, Lynn, I am exhausted today. I went to Mama Homemade Annie's homestead yesterday. I drove 2 hours to go, 2 hours to come back, and we planted loads of stuff. We played with our kids. When I came back, I was like so exhausted. And then today I completed my garden, my summer garden. Now I just have like my flowers and like leftover stuff. So yes, Lynn, I am exhausted. What about you? Did you work hard?
I went to church and then I went and spent time with the grandkids. Fat man even got out there and played some volleyball. That was fun. Um,
Nice.
uh,
So it was
but yeah,
off. It was off homestead today.
yes. I got home a little while ago and took a short nap and got ready for the live.
So we'll know if you're rested or if you're out
Groggy,
of
yeah,
out of
yeah.
it. I now have everything planted except a few plants that are supposed to be here this week. What did you order, Lynn? And where do you order? Because this is not something that's popular, ordering plants. And I haven't seen anything here in Quebec. And then I went to Home Depot with David and got more dirt. Again, I wonder why. And came home with 10 flowers. I can't go. I can't go. Like, we went to Walmart on Friday, and like I was with my husband and my youngest. I'm like, I want to go in the flower section, and my husband's like, no, we're not in there. Like, so
I caught Remy's addiction. I can't go to a store that has seeds without coming home with at least a packet or two. Uh,
well,
and
it's not that bad considering it's gonna feed you or
right,
feed your animals. Let's just say that you have too much.
yeah,
There's worse things in life.
yeah.
I'm gonna see it that way. I see it that way. Yep. Yes, Remy, it has stuttered. Tracy's doing it all the time. You know,
Oh, with the
I just bug you. I just bug you. I don't mind. I just want to let you know.
no, I really do it every live stream I'm on. It seems like I always I need to go on to video before I go live and click my viewer onto mute. Because I like to follow the chat in the
Yeah.
other one too. Uh,
Oh,
it's
it's
just a
true.
little push.
Because you don't have access to the chat. It's true. It's true. No worries. I'm just picking on you. I put an order in at Registered Herbs, and they have starts you can order. I ordered in January, and I forgot till last week. I have tomatoes coming. Oops. Having too much is possible because, like, when you start too many seeds, like I have, I think 7 trays. They're not full. Like, maybe like I have like maybe 10, 15 left plugs per trays. I don't know where I'm gonna put them. And it's flowers. And like I have to figure out where I'm gonna put them because like I started them from seeds. I up potted them, I nurtured them, I took care of them. So it is possible to have too much.
Yeah.
Or if you like to play I like to call this game Tetris.
Mhm.
Homesteader version. Like, you have to find spots a little bit everywhere.
Yeah. You got to be careful because then when you're walking, doing something, pruning your tomatoes or something, and you're having to step on your onions.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the first year, yes. The way that I designed my in-ground garden was 36-inch wide. And I kind of had to step in, like for the middle part, I had to step in the middle of it. And sometimes, like, I was unfortunately stepping on stuff. And now I converted to 30-inch. So I can go from one side, my arms can reach the first 18-inch, and then if I can't reach, I can go on the other side. So I converted to market style because, like, I'm so small, my arm length is small, and I find that it's easier to manage.
Mm-hmm.
But 36-inch was a blessing because I could fit much, much more than 30-inch. But then I had to go with I had to go with the length of my arm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I do 2-foot rows, about 2 foot wide, and then try to leave a lot of space between them. And I plant kind of by the square foot when it comes to
mhm.
like kale and stuff like that. But I've got kale that I can harvest right now that started in the greenhouse that is just doing beautiful. And my tomatoes are blossoming, but I've been looking for the little green ball and I'm not getting them yet.
Are they in your greenhouse?
They are in the greenhouse, but I took the cover off
Mhm.
and I surrounded it and covered it with deer netting
Mhm.
so that the birds can't get into it. My chickens can't get into it. My cats. Oh my God. The cats are like, Dad's just crazy about making bathrooms for us, man.
And then he blocks them. How
Yes.
dares he? How dare he? Well, how big is the little holes of your netting? Can bees and stuff like
Yeah.
that go through it?
Yes. Bumblebees can get through. I think they're 1/2 inch holes or a little more.
Okay.
Um,
If ever, like, you see that your blossoms don't form fruits, all you have to do is take the top of your plant and just shake it like
yeah.
5, 6 times, like, and then it's gonna pollinate the flowers.
I
Uh,
saw
the
I think it was on one of your videos or one of your lives you guys were talking about it. So
Mhm.
I go through and
Yeah,
shake
you
'em.
just shake it, shake, 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 shake. You don't have to break it, you just
Right.
shake it.
Right.
So, at least you know that if you have bat pollinators, you can actually have fruits. I do that because my neighbor sprays around end of June, and then I'm about 2, 3 weeks without any pollinators. So, and my some of my tomatoes start to flower at that time, so that's why I kind of like hand pollinate.
Yeah, I drove by down here on one of the neighboring roads. I saw several yards that had the signs on it for the mosquito guys or whatever. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh man, that kills the bees.
Well, there's only one way to do it being safe. You have to do it when the sun goes down.
Right.
So, if you want to spray, and like there's like a horrible problem, spray when there's no wind and just when the sun goes down and all the pollinators goes their way and like finds shelter.
Yeah.
Therefore, you don't have that much of an impact on the pollinators. But like
Right.
if you can get away with spraying, it would be the ideal. If you can't, at least do it in times that it's safer for them.
Right. Most of the time, um, I buy those little round wafers. Um, they're little brown, and you put them in standing water because I have like rain barrels. I have 5 gallon buckets that I let collect water off the roof.
Hmm.
The chickens can drink out of it, and it's safe for the chickens, or it says it is. It's safe for the animals, and but it keeps them from the mosquitoes
Reproducing.
from reproducing. And then someone said put some olive oil in it and it'll coat the top of it so that they can't get down in that. And
Yeah, but then if your chicken drinks
yeah,
it,
the chicken,
I don't
well,
know if
they'd
the
already,
I don't know if olive oil is good for them. I don't know. It's good for us, but I don't know if
yeah,
it's good for them. You would have to, yeah, maybe Google Pants. Check Mr.
yeah,
Google. That
yeah,
I don't know.
they'd be
Uh,
ready for the oven.
Oh, you sold plants today. But I
Nice.
just used the money on flowers. Well, at least you didn't spend money. You sold to buy. Could have been worse. Yes, I have finished putting my netting up, and that. Oh, where did it go? Okay, it's here. That is going to take all weekend. Yeah, sometimes those things are time consuming.
Yeah.
I am in the truck and losing signal soon when I get home. If you're still on. Oh, hi Angie. Hi Mike. I hope you can actually pop on later. I did olive oil trick and it worked. My chickens don't go where I put it. Uh, I did. Oh, she wanted to say hi.
Hello.
Help. Oops.
I thought the
Gotta love
spoon
you.
took that tree down that they wanted them to put.
I was going to say help for what? Okay, so the people that are here actually knows who you are. But
Mhm.
if someone watches the replay and does not know who you are or where you're from, can you just give us like a little introductions of who you are, where you're from, and a little bit of your background, what you feel comfortable sharing?
Okay. My name is Tracy Hand. I was born in an early age. Um,
Sorry.
um, I was in the army for 4 years. And then I went to the Word Life Bible Institute in Scroon Lake, New York. And about 4 years ago, my wife and I started homesteading at our house in the village. We had 2/3 of an acre, and about 4 years ago, uh, we ended up buying 20 acres of woodlot, cutting out of the woods, and we went off grid. And then my wife, she passed away this last December. So now I'm finding out how fun it is to do things on your own. It's amazing. Sometimes I would give my kingdom for just a finger to hold something in place while I do something else. Um, but yeah, everything I know about uh, growing food, food preservation, I pretty much relearned from my wife. She was awesome at it. And because my dad tried to teach me when I was a kid, but I hated being in the garden because it meant weeding and being on my hands and knees pulling weeds, and I would rather be off partying. And now I regret all the knowledge I missed because he had beautiful gardens. But my mom and dad, they homesteaded without knowing what homesteading was really. They canned, we picked berries. I mean, we would go out as a family and just spend the day uh,
Foraging?
foraging. Yeah. Cowslips, um, which are a plant that I can only identify them when they blossom and then it's too late, but they grow in ditches um, around rows. Are really good. Um, and uh, we didn't get into the mushrooms very much, but the different berries, strawberries, blackberries, stuff like that. We would go. We have power lines that run through around where we lived, and if we get permission from the people who own the land to go in, and we would just pick berries upon berries, and my mom would can them or freeze them, and it was a great way to grow up. Unfortunately, I didn't. I was too busy rebelling and going my own way at the time. So
But
now
I'm sure your memory still remembers. So when people talk about it, you have the knowledge. You just need to dig a little bit deeper.
right, right. A lot of times, my mom is a resource that is just phenomenal. Um, and so I can ask her, and a lot of times she doesn't remember. She just uh, my niece Tony is getting into homesteading, and they're having kind of the same problem that Remy had with the municipality. Um, they
Mm.
had a neighbor complain about their chickens.
Oh God,
and
neighbors.
yeah, and but my mom just gave her pressure canner, so that's
Amazing.
exciting to see that pass down.
Yes,
um,
because those things, when they're nicely maintained, they can go down many generations.
yeah, yeah, um,
Nice.
and
So
and
your background is a homesteading, even though you said you rebelled. Did you?
right,
Okay.
yeah,
And you said, so sorry. You said
no,
you were from New York, right?
upstate New York, yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure if you understand what Jill's trying to say.
Scroon Lake, yes. Um, the Word of Life Bible Institute, in Scroon Lake, New York. It's an hour, 45 minutes north of Glens Falls, New York, and a couple hours north of Albany. Um,
I didn't know what that meant. So I assumed it was for you. So, what would you say that made you want to become off grid?
um, we loved gardening. We loved camping. Um, I mean, some of the happiest memories I have with my wife were from camping and gardening and canning and all that stuff. Uh, but we just started seeing the need, to be more self sufficient. Um, I I believe in a literal interpretation of the Bible wherever possible, and we're warned times are going to get hard, and now we're seeing it. I am really afraid for anyone who hasn't began to prep in some way, because I know people who, um, are, well, I've heard of them, um, and I've talked to a couple that on the way home from work they pick up dinner. But that's not just a once in a while thing. That's an all the time thing. They don't have much in their refrigerator. They don't have anything in the freezer, and I'm
Mhm.
I'm literally scared for them. Uh,
I don't know if you guys have that, but we have some companies here that uh, you order and they deliver like a meal.
mhm,
Some of them it's like it's all made up and you pick it up.
mhm.
And then others, it's a delivery of all the produce. So the fresh produce is delivered to your house, or you pick it up and then you cook dinner. So everything is about making your busy life easier.
Right.
So, yes, on one side, it's fun. You don't have to go grocery shopping. You're eating healthy. You
Yeah.
can control what you're eating. You can control your portions. But what happens when these things close down?
Or when it just gets so expensive that you can't access it. Um,
Exactly. Because it's a service. So it's definitely more expensive than going to the store. And
right.
it's delivered to your house. So let's just say a meal would cost, I don't know, for a couple, $15. It can go up 20, 25, $30.
Yeah.
And $30 a meal, I'm like, that's a
Yeah.
lot. So yes, that is definitely a good reason to
Yeah.
start making those ideas run wild so that you understand that you need to grow some of your food.
Right. We ran into issues, with our electric company, the hydro. National Grid provides the electricity and delivers it. However, there are companies, businesses that purchase that energy and then can sell it at a discounted rate. And
Are
we
you
signed,
talking about electric or
yeah,
solar? Okay.
electric.
Okay.
When we lived in Port Leyden, we were on the grid there. And we got into one of those, and every year you had to call and recertify for the discount, re-sign up for it. And I missed the call one year, and that winter we ended up paying. We went from $105 electric bills to $270 a month bills. It was ridiculous. And so that turned me off from paying someone for
Mhm.
something that, we can produce ourselves. And so Wendy's like, well, why don't we find a place? We were running out of room on the 2/3 of an acre for gardening and stuff like that. We had chickens and roosters, but we couldn't do pigs because it was just too tight of quarters. So we started looking for property, and we found this one in Avon, New York, and it was really
it was raw land. There was nothing.
right. It had been harvested. The trees had been harvested off it several times, and in fact, in like a year or two, I think it'll be ready to harvest a lot for logs. We have cherry and maple and well, the we have birch and we have some hemlock stands that'll be ready for harvesting soon, and hopefully that will pad the bank account a little bit, just to help for taxes over time.
So they come and they harvest your trees and they pay for them?
Well, yeah, we would probably between Trevor and I would give him a portion of what we make. We would cut the trees, limb them, cut them into lengths, and get them out to a spot where the log truck can get to.
Okay.
They would come, inspect it, and grade it. And I'm pretty sure I have some veneer quality cherry. It's just not quite big enough around yet. And they pick it up and they pay you for it.
Okay. So it would be a revenue for you.
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
And we when we cleared off the about 2.5 to 3 acres of land for the cabin and the chicken coop, the yard, and the garden and everything. The guy told me, he says, Mr. Hand, he says, we pick up logs like this all the time. He says, but just for these size logs, it just doesn't warrant it at this time. He says, now in a few years, he said, call us and we'll be able to purchase some.
Well, that's at least that it's an investment. I'm gonna catch up on comments before I get told you're late on comments. It's so scary right now. My mom just shared a post from a truck driver owner, and he said things are really bad.
Truckers are about to get slammed. I'll let you finish on the.
When the truckers can't deliver goods because it's costing a fortune to deliver. At least in the summer, I can eat straight. Yeah, in my backyard with a bunch of edible stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off. You can continue.
No. That I was watching. Off Grid with Doug and Stacy had a video on, and they had footage of a gentleman testifying before Congress. And in the United States, there's a DEF system that has to be, it's a pollution control system on diesel vehicles that are over a certain amount of horsepower. And the railroad they're the biggest producer and distributor of this fluid in the United States. And the railroad called them and told them that they had to cut production by, I believe it was around 50% or something like that. Now, the problem is when diesel engines don't have this fluid in the system, I'm not totally sure how it works, but they will shut down. They will not run without this system. And now the railroad, it seems, and the guy said, I'm not sure the reason why, but the railroad is kind of dictating the supply aspect of it now, which makes sense for the railroad because they're in direct competition with the truckers.
Yeah, but they're not supposed to be competition. They're supposed to work together.
They're supposed to.
Yeah, because there's places that trucks can't go and there's places that train can go. So it's exactly like a couple, a marriage or
Mhm.
whatever. Everyone says it's supposed to be 50-50. Well, in a perfect unicorn world where there's bees and rainbows all the time, yes. But there's parts of your life that the man's going to work more, and then there's parts of the life that the woman's going to work more. But at
Right.
one point, if you look at the big picture, it's 50-50. But it's the same thing with the truckers and the train. I don't get it. Why this war? Because we need both. We need both of them
Well,
to reach
the
everyone.
it's it's a political thing
Obviously.
and a money thing that our administration is in tight with the railroads right now. Um, because it could, yeah, 50-50. Is that an inside joke?
Yes. Don't worry, because look at we kind of had a conversation about that, so it's a little inside joke.
Yeah.
We're getting off topic, so I'm going to try to
Sorry.
get back to topic. So basically, the reason why you went off grid is because of your worries, and you wanted to be more self sufficient
Right. You're
for the two of you.
right. There's only two types of people when it comes to this subject, and you're either a producer or a consumer. And I am a consumer. I go shopping for I supplement everything because one of the things I say a lot is if you don't have a green thumb, make one. And I am still in the process. They are still white as you can get them so far, but I'm in the process of learning and trying to get better. And and thank goodness there are plants out there that are very forgiving.
Forgiving, yes. Well, I am in year 5. I started my 5th year and I still kill plants and I still have
Yeah.
failure. I remember my first year on my own. God, oh my God, oh my God. Like it was, oh God. Like everyone says, oh my God, you have a green thumb. Like, what? I don't think we have the same definition of green
Right.
thumb. Like 50% of my garden is like dying of like pests and disease and stuff like that. Or I killed my plants because they either burnt or they froze. Or it was horrible. So it's a learning curve, definitely.
Hmm.
And everyone thinks like I produce all my food. No, I don't. I am a consumer as well. So I don't know which percentage, but I still need
Right.
the store unless we buy land one day. But even though I don't think I would be 100% self sufficient, like I can't create sugar.
Right.
I can't do my flour. A one
Hickory
man show can't do flour. Like
Hickory Croft has a great video. I am trying it now. I've got sugar beets planted on making sugar from sugar
yes,
beets.
I'm planting mine in July. Once my batch of beets is harvested,
Mhm.
in the beginning of July, I'm gonna put compost and I'm gonna do the sugar beets because I think it's 70 days for those ones. I'm gonna try it, but like I use a lot of sugar.
Yeah, I do too.
coffee, coffee. I'm a coffee lover, and if there's one thing I cannot survive without is my coffee in the morning. And like I do kefir, and kefir needs sugar, and
Mhm.
like there's you kind of need sugar in many recipes. So
Yeah,
I
I tried replacing the sugar with honey, and that worked great. I loved it, but unfortunately, I haven't. I had one hive of bees this last year that survived the winter, but now a skunk got into them, and they're gone. Well, I think I'm still seeing bees, so they might have just moved elsewhere. I'm not sure, but they had
oh
moved in to the hives from the wild. It was pretty cool.
well, go check it out. You could be surprised what's left.
Yeah.
This owner said it's costing him roughly $15,000 a week to run just one truck. Ouch.
Yeah.
Yes, in squash we trust. Oh, this is gonna be like an ongoing thing. Let's squash the competition. Okay, I have 2 squashes.
Yeah.
I'll play the game.
Hold on. I'm going to switch from water to the hard stuff here, my Lipton tea.
Okay. I think I have 2 more comments. I'm in year 10 and my thumb is not that green. Annie saw all kinds of plants yesterday. Well, she has a lot. Her land is huge. And you know when you plant your garden, like you have your trays and sometimes like you have like a dead plant in your trays and you just leave it on the ground, and I saw it at her house and I was picking on her like, oh my god, you killed a tomato plant, how dare you.
Yeah, I'm primarily doing the back to Eden method, but now I'm making raised beds using
Mm-hmm,
the wood chips as barriers for the raised beds.
mm-hmm.
And so when I like pull weeds, if they're small ones, I just throw them on the wood chips and they won't reroot. So it's like if you were a plant lover as far as um, full vegetarian, you would see it as carnage all over my garden.
You have to be careful when you do that. If you're removing a weed that is in flower mode and you're dropping it on your floor, you're actually dropping the seeds.
Right, but with the wood chips, they're supposed to be. Now you still get weeds, but it reduces the
The pressure.
germination
Yeah.
because the wood chips have so much air between them that the
Well, the chances of you having it like a huge problem because of the wood chip, because you dropped one seed on the ground, is not that much. But
right,
still, you can.
yeah,
It still can happen.
yeah.
I need to get my wood chipper out. I have so much. If someone comes to my house, I'm like, I'm ashamed. Well, not ashamed, but like close. I
I
had to
just
pass my weed eater in the middle of my rows because like weeds were like 6 inches tall.
I've had to
I
mow my garden before.
I will sure fine whatever works. Well, my alleys are 18 inches wide, so the only thing I could do is use the weed eater, and then that removes about 12 inches of weeds, and then the last portion about on each side I have to manually remove it because I don't want to kill my plants.
Right, right.
I have learned I have to pick what I am growing and what I will get in bulk from farmers market. I just can't grow everything. Sometimes, yeah,
Mhm.
that's true. This year, I'm almost growing everything we eat, so it's going to be
Nice.
interesting. Been talking about squash all day, so I might be 10 or 11 now. Who's
Ramslet.
who's counting? Who's counting? It's Sunday. Hi, Dave. And yes, Dave, your celery is
Nice.
doing great in my garden too. Can you talk to us a little bit about the system that you have in place with your cabin right now?
The which system?
Solar, solar, solar
The
system.
solar. We started off with a 100-watt panels going into a 30 amp charge controllers and four 12-volt batteries. And this last summer we uh were given an opportunity for really cheap. We expanded to 1,000 watts of panel. We have four 250-watt panels, and we we got a 60 amp charge controller, and that goes into, I have seven, they're deep cycle 12-volt batteries. However, they're the Walmart brand, so you get about 4 or 5 years of life out of them, and then you have to replace them.
Okay.
What I'm looking for now, we just replaced them like a year ago. So now I'm thinking when it comes time to replace them of going with the better I want to say that they're the lithium lipole batteries, I think they call them, or something. They're a lithium battery, and they charge quicker, they hold a charge longer, and they're more amp hours per battery. Um, I have a 2,000 watt uh, inverter charger. So uh, what that does is that draws the DC power from the batteries and changes it to AC to go into my outlets.
Okay.
And it also, when I start the generator and plug in the generator, it charges the batteries.
Okay, so with
And,
the system that you have right now, what type of electronics that you have around your cabin?
I have uh, the coffee maker. I bought a new coffee maker, and for some reason, I can't find where it tells what the watts are on them. I have to run the generator for that. So I'm drinking a lot of tea now. um,
So you said your system is 1,000 watts.
to the solar panels bring in 1,000 watts to charge an hour to charge the battery.
Okay.
Um, but I have like the microwave. I can run the microwave, and it runs right off the batteries, and I have plenty. I have well, it's a 750 watt. It's a low wattage microwave. According to the boxes, I'm not even supposed to cook pot pies in it. Um, but but then I have propane cook stove, propane refrigerator, and propane on-demand hot water heater.
Okay.
Um, and my lights are a separate system, all in themselves. They are Sun King. They have I bought two of them, and they have a 12 by 12 inch solar panel of their own, and they each came with three lights that have three different settings. On the highest setting, it's 200 lumens, which when it's dark out, it's enough to read by.
So
Um,
when you say lights, that's like inside your cabin.
inside, yes.
Okay.
Um,
So they run completely separate from your solar system.
right. Yeah. So, uh, yeah, basically I'm not using my big batteries. They come in a, I don't know, the battery is about that big and that tall, and I have two units. And when one, like in the winter, um they have digital lights that show the charge of the battery on them, and when one gets low, I just switch to the other one just by you reach up, you unplug the two and plug the other two back in. Um, and they are phenomenal. I just really love them. Um,
I wanted to convert our ceiling lights to solar system,
mhm.
but that would mean like wiring like a lot of wires because we have one, two, three bedrooms, the bathroom upstairs, and then the hallway. Just upstairs, it would have been like a nightmare because the panel would have been all the way downstairs, so 2-story high. And we're still thinking about it, but then when we talked about moving, we're not sure because you could save up a lot by having solar just for your lights.
Right. And when you're off grid, or even if you just have those, have a solar lights, you have to look at your electric differently. Uh, it is amazing to me how um, uh, people walk out of a room and leave the light on. Um, it's like my brother has got kids, and they do it all the time.
My kids do it all the time. I have to leave a light open all night long for my kids to go to bathroom. It pisses me off
Yeah, I
because
have
they're scared.
for that I have um battery they have battery operated lights that run off two double A's, and they're the string lights, like kind of like the holiday lights. Um, and I have those run so that I don't trip over a cat, or worse yet, step on a cat in the middle of the night. And it gives enough light to light my way into the bathroom. And then I have a short string right over the toilet itself, so I don't really have to turn the light on in the middle of the night.
And you can see where you're aiming.
Well,
Sorry, came out.
no, that's fine. That's a valid question. I'm going to get ridiculed.
Sorry.
I'm going to get ridiculed for this, but at night, because of that very fact, I found that you don't have to fully wake up if you sit down.
Whatever works.
Right, right. I'm Trevor. Don't watch this replay. I'll never hear the end of it.
So it's a secret between us two plus the 6 other viewers.
Have to teach my kids.
I missed some comments. Wait. That's not for me. Also, I have decided to grow more carrots, beets, peas, extra stuff for our harvest. I do the same. Just wasn't awful, and I missed plant. Well, you can grow a lot of things in the fall.
Yeah.
Yes, don't forget the thumbs up for me. Carrots can be planted now, Lynn. They will just grow more for the fall. I don't have a spot. The tic-tac-toes or the Tetris version of Finding Space. Radishes only takes 30 days unless you go for pods. I want to see the funny comment. Where is it? They should be right. Okay, that's not for me. Tracy, I could pay your trip here and have you teach my kids. God, if you can teach my kids to close the friggin' light, it would still be worth it money-wise for me. I don't know about you, but electrical here is expensive per month.
Yeah. I am the light police in it. Yeah. It is hard, but okay. I know in schools, I don't know in Canada if it's all that bad, but the whole new earth conscious teaching is in there, and I do believe we need to be good stewards of creation that we use. But if you want to help the planet, and this is an approach because they're teaching a lot of this stuff in schools and trying to make the kids more aware of recycling and taking care of the planet, shutting a light off when you leave the room. If you want to stop global warming, the best thing you can do, and this is, I don't remember what agency it was. It was an American agency that said this, but the best thing you can do to fight global warming or climate change is to plant a tree. And that's so maybe approach it with that. Or I don't know if your kids get an allowance, but hey, every time I have to shut a light off and I know it's you that left it on, I'm going to charge you a quarter.
Fun. That would be fun. I would be rich.
Not for long, because they'd start missing those quarters.
Yes, they would. They would. I am the light police. We had a night light that was fairly bright for the kids when they were younger. My kids have learned after many years to turn off stuff when you aren't in the room. My goal every month is to have electric. Oh God, under $100, that'd be nice. 450. Holy cow. 300. 400 watts and 200 amp batteries in greenhouse will run 6 circuits in house if need. Nice.
Yeah.
I can't really know how much my electric bill is because like I pay my gas for my heating. Like my gas is like a full amount and then I divide it by 12 and then my electric does the same. So I don't remember, but it is expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, the 450 month for electric. Uh oh my goodness. Um
Well, I keep my house at 17 degrees Celsius, which is not hot. When
no.
people come at my house during the winter, they're like, "Aren't you cold?" I'm like, "No, I have a shirt, I have a sweater, and I have a little
Yeah.
coat."
You can dress appropriately, and
Yeah,
even that helps with the whole love the planet type thing.
yeah.
Um but people uh like I heat with wood, and I have just a it's not a very big wood stove, and it'll sweat me out. It'll be 25 below zero and I'll have windows open. It's amazing.
I would love to have high surge. I would love to convert to wood, but it would be we would have to destroy the old chimney.
Hmm.
The chimney outside was destroyed, but there's still like parts of the chimney inside the house, and we would have
Yeah.
like to rebuild it to recreate it. So I don't think I want to go down that road, but we do have gas. So it's propane,
Yeah.
and we heat the house at 12, 13 degrees Celsius with electric. And our stove, our gas stove, does the up till 17. So that
Mhm.
way we were able to keep the monthly bill lower. But $400 when we moved here, I think that's what we had. But like our house is 105 years old.
Yeah. See, we're lucky in the fact that when we went off grid, we downsized, and that I almost said it was hard. It still is hard, because there's so many things that this lifestyle needs, and there are so many things that you can't store in the tool shed that's not heated over the winter.
True, true.
Your paint and stuff like that, and but yet you can't afford to get rid of it. uh, and we downsized to a 32 by 32 square, um, with the bathroom and the pantry having walls, and everything else is open. In our house in Port Leyden, we had forced air wood heat, uh, but it was it took 20 face cord, which is 4 foot by 4 foot high by 8 foot long by 16 inches by
20, 20 cords?
face cord.
Oh, face
It,
cord.
it's just like the first stack, 4 foot high by 8 foot long.
Okay.
A full cord is 4 foot high by 8 foot long by, I believe it's 8 foot wide. Is a full cord.
I don't remember. My dad used to buy 5 cords of wood every winter, but like that was like a long time ago for
Right.
me. I don't
And
remember.
now I put up 12 face cord a year, and it seems to be doing fine, especially with this new stove. Oh my god, it'll take blocks big enough to last all night, which is nice because I get a lot more sleep.
Hmm.
uh, and unfortunately, those blocks sometimes around 1 o'clock in the morning they decide they're going to catch, and even though the stove is shut down, it just heats it completely up.
Do you
We
have
run
those eco fans?
No, we don't, because those are so expensive, and because of the setup, our living room, our couch is like 6 feet from the stove. I am like 10 feet from the stove. Our bed is 10 feet on the other side of the stove, and then the rest is all closed off, the bathroom and the pantry. So we really don't need to circulate the air because I want the
No,
pantry to
because
be a little cool.
you're close, and then the pantry. That's what I say. If it's too warm, the pantry's gonna suffer.
Yeah. So we don't have a lot of room, a lot of separate rooms that we need to circulate the air from, like we did in Port Leyden.
Okay, so you would say limitations. What, like, so space,
Uh,
downsizing?
yeah, downsizing is as people go, downsizing is one of the big limitations as far as storage. I wish I would have put in a cellar, but we just couldn't afford it. Um, uh, Really, electricity becomes a commodity that you measure. Every night before I go to bed, I check to see what my batteries are at. Usually they're around 12.4 or 12.5, which is a little bit above half of a battery. Um, and I can run a fan all night and wake up in the morning and it's still right about there. Uh, then with water, because we have animals, we have the pigs, we have the chickens, and the garden. With the back to Eden garden method, it's not so bad once my plants are established in the garden, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to have a system to water your seeds uh, as they're germinating, and to water your seedlings when you transplant them until they get established. And I have rainwater catchment. Our well is a shallow well, and it doesn't have a lot of storage. I, I I know that I just filled 600 gallons into the big totes outside that I switched to. That in the summer I can use the big totes outside, and in the winter I have to use two 55-gallon barrels inside so they don't freeze. Um, and then so that's a restricting factor. Finances. I am very, very privileged to have a I don't know, a disability pension through the VA,
Because of your military service?
because of my military service. About 10 years after I got out of the service, Desert Storm came back and kicked me in the butt pretty hard. It's a PTSD type thing, which is another reason this lifestyle is kind of suited. With Wendy, it was perfect because we're secluded, yet we had each other. We were always together 24/7. Well, not quite 24/7 because she wouldn't let me go to cards and play cards with the ladies like she did. But um,
Almost, almost.
yeah, I think they were betting money. But anyway, uh, but uh, but um, now there is a seclusion to it, and you have to be set for this type of seclusion. I mean, I can get in the car and be at my mom's in half an hour, be at my daughter's in 20 minutes. Um, and I still don't do it a lot because I'm just so busy trying to catch up and keep up. And because there's a lot of extra steps that we do. Um, with the water. I pump the water from the well into containers, and then I have an indoor. It's like the water pump of a camper that
Okay.
keeps the pressure at 50 pounds per square inch, and so I have to fill the water container, and then I have to keep an eye on that. That's a commodity. If that goes dry, and I don't catch, say I forget to shut the water off and go outside working, and so I can't hear the pump, and that goes dry, that's going to burn that pump up.
Okay, so that would be like, it's not like a negative thing, but it's
No,
limitations. It's limitations.
right. It's just a different way of thinking about things. That everything is a finite resource, and you have to be aware of that.
Mm.
Um,
So water is like compost for you.
yes, yes, I have to think ahead. In the spring when it's raining, I have to get my totes set up and my gutters. Uh, I have to keep on top of that, think ahead of it because otherwise, if my well goes dry, then not only my garden and my animals suffer, but I would suffer.
Of
Uh,
course.
I drink bottled water, which I don't think I need to. I have a filter system, but I don't know. It's just one of those things that we do have extremely hard water, so the bottled water doesn't take up the coffee like my water does. The
Yeah,
coffee.
well, we have hard water here too, and it was an adjustment for us. We started at first. We used to buy a filtered water just for the coffee and for drinkable water, but we found like a really good coffee, good quality coffee, and now we use the city water because we don't taste that. It's like this weird taste, but we do have 18. You know the big water bottles
Mm-hmm.
that you can refill.
Yep.
We get that delivered every 2-3 weeks, so
Yeah.
that's a splurge. But there are systems available for sure to remove that
Right.
taste. But what I don't like, it's the filter. You have to buy the filter every so often, and then it goes in the garbage.
Yeah.
That's like, everyone's like, why are you buying bottled water? Well, I'm like, well, I can either buy a bottle that is 100% recyclable, 100% like you can refill it,
Mhm.
or buy a filter that I would have to change every 6 months, 12 months, 18 months,
Yeah.
depending what you have. Or I can invest in a, what do you call it in English?
Water softener.
Ultraviolet antibacterial system that's gonna cost me an arm and a leg, a liver, and probably like my right eye. So I'm like,
Mhm.
well, I'm gonna go with the lesser of the two evils and go with delivered bottled water.
My my sister-in-law gave us all of her countryside magazines,
Okay,
which is a great magazine. And I saw in it a non-electrical water softener that you just hook on the pipe and it does it for you.
nice.
Well, yeah, I went to the website and
You
it
got a
had
heart
been
attack?
yeah, it had been out of business for years and years and years. It was a really old copy because I mean, we got about 1,000 of those magazines now, and I still get the countryside magazine, but I also get um, uh, self self reliance magazine, um, and
You have time to read all of those magazines?
absolutely not. Um,
I don't.
but But if the grid goes down, I mean, I do some do I do some bathroom reading, but it's one of those things where if I ever need to do something, I have time enough to familiarize myself with the magazine, saying, okay, I know it was in one of these magazines from this year or whatever. Uh, our pig feeder, our self filling or not self filling, but automatic pig feeder.
Hmm.
Um, I got out of the diagram from that. I got out of a countryside magazine, and it is just phenomenal.
So you get ideas.
Yes, you get all sorts of ideas, and if things were ever to go bad, to where I fully had to rely on myself for things that I don't have to rely on myself for now, I could always uh, sit down at night and go through those magazines just to, get ideas on how to cope with different um, issues.
Good. Well, at least like it would keep you occupied for sure, and you would learn
Yeah.
a lot. Um, Obviously, we're going to talk about preserving food. So you do preserve your food. What
Yes.
type of preservation do you do with the setup you have at the cabin?
We canning is a big one that we do. It's all dusty. This is ham that we pressure canned in September of 2020. Um, Basically, we have a small freezer in my brother's basement in Port Leyden, and when we butcher a pig, we take what we want of last year's pig and can it to make room for um, the new stuff. This is canned split pea soup. If you want to taste split pea soup, and it has the meat in it. If you
That's
want
one
to
with the ham, right?
yes, it's got the ham in it. And if you want to taste, oh my goodness, you can it, you cook it, then you can it, and you leave it for about 2 weeks, and then you open it up, and the flavors are just all through everything. It is just phenomenal. And this, I was tickled when I found this. This is from 2019. I need to eat that up, but it's the last can of Wendy's split pea soup I have. And then there's dehydration. Dehydrating your thing. This is parsley, and I even have written on it. It's for fresh breath, fluid retention, hay fever, diabetes, it's an anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antifungal, blood purifier, anti-anemic. It's for constipation, diarrhea, and it's an immune booster. Who would have thunk parsley? But
That's what I was gonna say. I didn't know most of that. Like I know it tastes great.
yeah,
I didn't know it
um,
had medicinal properties.
right. It's
It oh, it's still sealed.
yes, it's still sealed. I use a we do have a vacuum sealer pump, but I use the lid and then a brake bleeder. It's a vacuum pump that you bleed brakes with. We bought one of those. It was like $20, $25, just a cheap one. And then I just adapted the hose to fit on the what in the world is that called? The vacuum sealer, and we put that on there, hook the hose to it, and you pump it 16 or 17 pounds, and it seals it pretty much permanently.
So it's airtight.
Yes, it's airtight. No air gets in there. That smells just as fresh as when I put it in there. It smells really good, actually.
And if I heard correctly, you said that your freezer, you're not able to have a freezer at your location. You have to have a freezer somewhere else.
Right. It's at my little brother's in his basement. Now, the only reason I can't in the summer, I think I would do fine with it. Because we have such long days. But in the winter, between cloudy days and stuff, I think I want to get more batteries, more battery storage
Okay.
for the freezer. And I want to do some experiments. I have a kilowatt meter that basically it tells you what an appliance, you plug it into your wall socket, then plug your appliance into it, and it
Yeah,
tells you
I saw that. It's a fun tool to have when you're off grid.
yeah. And I want to do some experiments and find out what the pressure or what the freezer uses, so I know how much
Do you
bad.
have a conventional freezer or you have a freezer that's made to be on a solar system?
No, it's conventional. It's a little, I think it's a 5 or 7 cubic foot freezer, just a little one. I bought it at Walmart.
Okay.
And my brother is on grid, so I'm using his electricity.
Okay.
Um,
Is your winter cold enough to have your freezer in your greenhouse and not plug it?
no. We tried that. My brother had a freezer that died, and we brought that up, and you might see it in some of the videos up against the back of the house. I use it as a platform to do my potting in the early spring. Um, but we tried putting meat and stuff in there, and in theory, it works great until you get a couple 35, 40-degree days, or because the sun is low enough that it doesn't hit the back of the house in the winter. However, it thaws. It was very, very
Okay, so your
distressing.
your climate is a little bit too warm for you to have that option.
Right. Well, not to mention the freezers that we have, like on top of the refrigerator and the chest freezers, they take things down to 0 degrees. And the recent years we haven't made it. I think the lowest we got this winter, I think we made it to 25 below zero a couple times. That used to be a regular occurrence.
Okay.
Um, but now we're in a warming streak with climate change.
Okay.
Um, and yes, a lot of people, if they know me, they'll say, "Oh, Tracy, here's to climate change." Yes, I look out your window. There's a climate. The climate is changing. I
Yes, it
just
is.
I just don't believe in man-made catastrophic climate change. I believe that with the orbit that the Earth is in, it's elliptical, and some years we'll go through like 5 or 10 years being closer to the sun where it's warmer, and then we'll wobble a little bit farther away where it's colder and the winters are harsher. I think it's all a cyclic thing.
Well, regardless what it is, it's there. There's no there's
Yeah.
no I see it.
Yeah.
Uh I I remember in when I was a child, I was doing Halloween in my winter boots, my winter suit.
Yep.
And there's a year where I'm not going to say my age because I passed Halloween like when I was very old. And I was only dressed with a long sleeve and a turtleneck, and my turtleneck was like just over my ears, and I had like a cloak, and that was it.
Yeah.
And 10 years, maybe 10, 15 years earlier, I was in my winter suit. In last year, we had a risk of frost at the end of May.
Yeah.
That's not something that's
Mm.
common. Here in Montreal, last frost is expected around May 5th. My last frost is May 12th, and we almost hit a frost at like the end of month of May. So that was like just there. You can see that there's some changes, regardless if it's man-made or scientific.
Yeah.
I sure hope that everyone's seeing that there is a change.
Oh, yes.
I welcome the warm weather, but every single time I keep saying, at what cost? Like when you have warm weather in April, warm weather in May, and then cold weather, I'm always wondering, how will the water supply, the fresh water supply will be? Will we have enough water, drinkable water? Because as a town, we had a limitations at the beginning of the month of May
Yeah.
already.
They the powers that be, in a lot of states in the United States, you're not allowed to capture rainwater.
Really?
Um, yep, it's against the law to capture rainwater because they have recognized that there's not as much water in the hydro cycle of,
Okay.
the rain and evaporation and stuff like that. And so I did a little thinking and praying, and I came up with an idea of where it all went, because it's a closed system. It rains a certain amount of water, it evaporates a certain amount of water, then it rains that, warehouses and palm warehouses full of plastic bottles that don't allow the water back into the system.
Of course.
Uh, it's just one of those things that we're taking out of a closed system and then expecting that closed system to still have what we need uh, to operate. I see. Jill says that they used to rely on ice houses. I talked with the Amish about doing an ice house, and it was very expensive. They build their ice houses, so if you put ice in it in January or February, if you fill it full of ice, you're going to have ice in it in September and October. it just holds it that long.
I'm gonna catch up on messages.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
um, I know I read that. I read that. We should all play a lottery and then create the squash homesteading community. I just pumped 200 liters of water on the garden in the last 2 days, pumped by my son into
IBC toast.
IBC totes. I have one of those. I should get a second one. This lifestyle is so very good for mental health. I hate when I have to leave my home and go to uptown. Well, okay, here's the thing. I used to be a very social person. Like I love going out, love talking to people, love meeting people, exchanging, asking questions, learning. And then in the last 2 years, I was asked to stay at my house and do like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Which was the hardest thing I had to do. But now it's become a normal part of my life. So I have to relearn to be social. And I have to push myself in the butt to go to do like normal stuff like grocery shopping,
Mm-hmm.
clothes shopping, or like I love to go to those those secondhand stores. I don't know how
Mm-hmm.
you call it in English, like
Thrift stores, we
yeah,
call
thrift
them.
stores. I love to go to thrift stores for my clothes, for like ideas, gifts ideas and stuff like that. But like I have to force myself to go out. But now since I went to convention, I'm kind of seeing that a human being kind of needs that social
Yeah.
interaction. So I'm like, okay, so I need the garden for mental health and evacuate the negativity. But I also know I also need to go out and socialize and like see people other than me, my face, my children, my husband, my dog, and my
Yeah.
chickens. And like I need to see those people. So I guess dosing it
Yeah.
is ideal. But I understand her so much.
Yeah.
I prefer to have people over to go somewhere. I wonder why. Annie does not drive. So
Oh. Well, it's also nice because there's a gene that people have that tell you when it's time to go, and Wendy didn't have it, and apparently I don't either. We were always like the last people to leave a get together. I still am, but I just get together with family and friends now, so they all understand.
so you're the party animal at social events.
No, I kind of Wendy was very social. And so I'm finding she took a lot of that pressure to interact away from me, whereas if I started feeling, cuz crowds and stuff like that don't play with me well. And so I was able to step into the background a little bit, and if somebody came up and talked, I would talk and stuff, but I wasn't fully engaged unless I was really comfortable with where I was and who I was talking to. And now that she's not there to act as that buffer, I'm having to come out of my shell a little more. But
Sorry, I was distracted.
nope,
My son was at the door.
that's fine. That's fine. Family first, always.
Yep. Did I miss comments? They keep going back up. We have a water softener. We have to have it for a bunch of reasons, but the big one is we have an on-demand hot water tank, and hard water will kill it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I don't have a water softener, but my water is hard, and it leaves like this residue
Mm-hmm.
on toilets and sinks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I save my reading for rainy days. Really?
Yeah.
I actually go plant when it's raining. Last week there was a lot. I think I can't remember if it was the week I was live. No, it was not that. It was right after live. I listened, and then I saw that it was raining outside, and I just grabbed my beans. Like I had like a couple back, and I like pre-wrote my tags. It was like raining cats and dogs, and I was outside sowing my beans. I'm like, I'm gonna do 2 for 1. Well, actually, it was 3 for 1 because I took my shower semi-shower, and then I planted my beans and watered my beans.
Yeah, the other day I did a video where I made the beds, and I it was cloudy, so I said, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put in my transplant my cucumbers and my tomatoes. And as soon as I was 3/4 of the way done, the sun came out, and it was I had to put up shade cloth. It was crazy.
Yep. Oh God. Okay, seriously, StreamYard, you have to stop doing this. Okay, where are the comments? Okay. Winters aren't like what they used to be.
No.
I once passed Halloween when I was in my 20s. I will not say how old I was last time I passed Halloween because people might judge me. I was old. I think I was almost in college.
Well, see,
Yeah.
now you're lucky. Now you have kids. You can sit in the car, send the kids to go get the candy, and then you get to go through it before they get to it. Oh,
I don't really enjoy the Halloween candies anymore.
no.
No, I don't know if maybe it's me, but I find that they taste different.
Yeah.
Like do you know the chocolate cherry blossom?
No.
It's like it's a dome that has a little cherry in the middle. It's chocolate, there's nuts in it, and it's called cherry blossom.
Okay.
It's my dad's favorite, and we used to share it. And I had one, I can't remember when it was, and when I tasted it, it tasted so different. Like the chocolate tasted like super cheap.
Yeah.
Same thing, my favorite chocolate bar was O. Henry.
All right.
And your cat is acting out.
It just shook its head and splattered me with spit.
Mm,
Yeah.
lovely. So, and I tasted a O. Henry. I can't remember. I think it was one of the first years my children passed Halloween. I'm like, what the hell is this? This does not taste like O.
Right.
Henry. And I'm not a smoker. Like I never smoke, so my taste buds are the same. It's just, anyways.
Well, they do. They say your taste buds change about every 7 or 8 years.
I don't know. Like the chocolate does not taste the same.
No,
The
they start.
Lint chocolate, it's
Yeah.
very similar. I find that the taste, like from what I remember, it's almost the same. So the
Yeah.
only chocolate I can eat, it's the high end quality chocolate. But like those things are like super expensive. So
That should make your husband happy on Valentine's Day. I
I
have to go get some of the high end stuff.
no, well, we don't really celebrate Valentine's. I
Wendy and I
find
never did either.
I don't like I like we went out on a date, but we don't celebrate that it's Valentine's Day. We
Right.
just it's just like a date because I find that it should be Valentine's Day every
Day.
day. Same thing with Mother's Day. Like we do take the time to say Happy Mother's Day, but technically it should be Mother's Day every single day. Same thing with Father's Day because if it wasn't from your mom or your dad, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah, and I can attest, guys. Let your loved ones know that you love them every day. My brother gets mad at me because I'll tell him we'll get off the phone and he'll say, "All right, I'll talk to you later." I said, "Okay, talk to you later. Love you." He's like, "Men don't say that to each other." I said, "I just said it to you, and we're both men." and because I don't want to miss that. If something happens to
Yeah,
him or happens to me, I
you
want
want him to know.
yeah,
That's a good thing. He should know.
yeah,
I have a love-hate relationship with bottled water. We live in a country that has thousands of clean water, and we should not be paying for water.
yeah,
I agree. But when you taste water and it's not supposed to taste something,
right,
that's where I kind of go like,
yeah,
if I was in your situation, I would choose a lot that would be near a mountain, that it could be naturally cleaned or
yeah,
filtered, so that I have like that taste, that wonderful, refreshing taste from the water that I buy. But for now, like drinking my tap water at my home, it's not possible. Like you taste like it has this like awful.
Like maybe a mineral water type thing,
I
except
think
it's
it's
not
iron. It's
iron.
either iron or something else because it's iron or I can't remember the other one that leaves like a mark around your bathtub and toilets and so it's not calcium. It's iron or something.
I
Anyways,
don't I don't know if Nirvana ships their water to Canada, but Nirvana is in Boonville, New York, which is just we have some of the best water. We have very sandy soil in Port Leyden, not here. I have clay, but we had very sandy soil and some of the best water. The only time I ever had a problem with our water was when I was younger. We had a guy that took care of the big tank and treating the water for the village. That every once in a while he would get real drunk before he did it. We used to joke that he did, but he would just way too much chlorine. I mean, you could smell it when you took a shower. It was bad.
well, Montreal water has that smell.
Yeah.
When I used to be on island, now I'm off island. It used to have that smell. Have you ever been to Racket Lake, the community?
Racket Lake.
Yeah.
Yep. I
Uh,
love it up there.
okay. It's not insulation structure. They do use sawdust to insulate. Annie, you're one of the most amazing person I know. You are a very social person and fun to talk to. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm happy that I had YouTube in the homesteaders community because I felt so alone in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
We don't. We know Tracy sits on toilet. Well, okay. I was 24 years old the last year I went
Oh,
Halloween. So
that's all right.
if you want to judge me. But I had Halloween was one of my favorite. Um, I don't know, get
Holidays.
together holidays. It was not even for the candy; it was for the dress up.
Yeah.
I would dress up, do my hair, do my makeup, be a monster, and scream till I have no more voice. So that was I loved it. I used to work at a haunted house that night,
Oh, nice.
so I would pass an hour, like from 5 to 6, and then in my costume, and then from 6 to 9, I was working at a haunted house.
Nice.
I used to be social, but honestly, saying goodbye to people every 3 or so years gets so hard. I feel you. And I have trust issues, been burnt way too many times.
Yeah.
That I can so much relay. I actually have a hard time making new friends,
Mm-hmm.
and especially women. I don't know why. Every single woman that I try to have friendship with, they feel that I don't know, I can't say the word in English. Like I'm gonna take something from them. They're jealous, but I'm like, I don't want anything from them, anything else than their
Right.
friendship and their time. But they
Yeah.
always felt like I wanted to steal something away from them because I was like maybe different, too social, too.
Well, you're social, you're upbeat, and pretty, and that's intimidating to a lot of women. You know,
That's the word I was looking for. They were intimidated by me, but I was like, I was looking up to them. Like
right?
they were beautiful women. They did their hair every single day, did their makeup every single day, their nails were done. I could barely get myself together when I woke up in the morning to get my hair done. So, and they were always always nicely dressed, always nice cars, nice everything. And they were intimidated by me. I
Well,
was
yeah,
a I
because you
was
didn't have
a
to do all that nonsense to look pretty and to fit in
maybe.
wherever you went. You know.
Maybe. So when the homesteaders, when there was a lot of women, I was intimidated and I was like, will they accept me for being different? But then I realized I'm not different. We're the same. So
Yeah.
it was like an adjustment.
Yeah.
We don't celebrate those commercial holidays like Valentine's. Well, I do celebrate them. I'm a sucker, but it's like an excuse to go on a date.
Yeah.
If I can find myself a person that wants to watch my 3 kids, That's another story.
Send them to New York. I'll watch them.
Sure, they're on the next bus. My husband just said we just celebrate the beginning of hunting season. Really? It's already hunting season? I thought it was October. Oh no, there's a hunting season
Well,
for
no, I think
turkeys.
she's saying that they only celebrate the beginning of hunting season.
Okay. I have to celebrate Valentine's Day if I don't. I don't want to sleep on the couch. Okay, there is one holiday that I'm a sucker for it, and I will actually like if my husband forgets. Our wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
That is probably the only celebration that I would be like really pissed if he forgets.
Yeah. I made the mistake of getting married in the peak of the white-tailed deer rut. When
Yeah,
I
you
should
you
be out
told
hunting, I have to stay home. For
you
years,
told
I
me
didn't
you,
understand. I'd come home and I'd take her out to dinner and she'd still be upset. And I'm like, what's wrong? She says, you hunted all day. It's my day.
I
Okay.
remember you told me that story. Sal says my water comes from a spring up the mountain and it's all gravity fed, no pump. And here where I live, it's still drink. I still drink from roadside.
Nice.
I would be terrified to
Oh,
drink from
this,
roadside. Where I am and near here, or too close from Montreal, I would never do it. If I was like life and death situation, probably. But
well,
if
with
I
a spring, if you're right at the source, there are places on Tug Hill where there are pipes coming out of the ground that somebody found a spring and drove a pipe in that you can get spring water. It's some of the best water ever because it's all
yes,
filtered.
I went to Vermont, and in Vermont, in the mountains, there's like places you can stop on the side of the road, and you can fill your bottles.
Yeah.
Those are the best. And Lynn, I do agree. I do agree. And I told my husband I do not want roses for Valentine's Day because those roses are not in season, so they don't come from here. They traveled many, many, many miles for you to receive them on Valentine's Day. So I told him if you want to buy me something for Valentine's Day, either create it, make it, design it, put it through your 3D printer. No flowers. Like if you want to give me flowers when they're in season and you can go pick them up at a local store and you know that they're local. So like at least
Yeah.
I won't feel bad for flowers traveling the entire world for me to receive them.
Right. She would always prefer wildflowers to anything bought.
My favorite flower it's not a conventional one.
What is it?
It's a sunflower.
Oh, sunflower. Oh, so that's not conventional at all.
And the other one is that flower says he loves me not, he loves me, he loves.
Daisies.
Yeah,
I think they're daisies, yeah.
yeah. Those are my two favorite flowers. So one is a wild one, and one can be resown by squirrels if you
Yeah.
have some. That's what intimidate. That's what intimidate them. You look great without. Guys, I don't even know how to wear makeup. My mom never wore makeup, so I had to learn. And then when I learned, it was too time consuming. I'm like, that I'm not
I had
spending. I'm not spending an hour every morning to put makeup on.
I had 3 older sisters and I was over wearing makeup when I was 5. They would use me as a human doll.
Oh God, my sisters did that to me.
It was horrible. Yeah, but you're a girl. That's not as traumatic.
True, but I was a hardcore tomboy when I was
Yeah.
young, so I was like, I didn't like it. I'm just gonna tell my husband that I'm gonna take a little bit more time because I still have more questions for you. Okay. Did I read all the comments? I spent way too many years trying to be the woman I thought I was supposed to be instead of the woman I am. I am not true. Don't waste.
Absolutely.
Don't waste. Hello, Melissa. Where did you go? Where did you go? Hello, Melissa. Hello, Patrick. David brought our daughter carnations almost a month ago, and we just had them throw them out yesterday.
Right.
Nice. I sowed carnations this year. I do hope that they flower. Planted 50 feet of sunflowers. Nice. Our daughters hate makeup. She is 19 and has never worn it except when had dance recital. I had makeup at my wedding, and I told the lady, you have to do something that's seriously natural, because if I'm not a person that wears makeup, and if I have like that like thick line, highlights, and the lips and all that, I'm gonna be like, people won't recognize me. So I had like a real serious conversation with my makeup artist. I'm like, you just hide the suntan, because you know, like that line.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you hide the suntan and like the little imperfections, and you can like highlight some stuff, but like keep it basic, because I don't want to look like a clown. I planted 100 of sunflowers yesterday. Nice. Okay, I think I'm caught up with messages. I have to go continue to chip my branches. Good evening, nice. Take care. Let me know how that goes. Okay, so you said you preserved your food, but being off grid with limitations, how do you use your canners?
We have an old canner that was old pressure canner that was given to us and I think I have a video on it from, well, when we didn't have the house built at the time, but we were up here clearing. We butchered a chicken, well, butchered several chickens, and the meat chickens, and we went straight from butchering them to canning them over an open fire. Because it was given to us because the bottom of the canner was kind of warped a little bit.
Okay.
And so it didn't hurt it to put it over a fire. Then we do have the propane stove that I can pressure and water bath can for. And the dehydrator, we just use the regular electric dehydrator. It's a real old one. It's got to be 20 years old. And yeah, so it's just, I can do it either in the off grid community. 2 is 1 and 1 is none. If something breaks down, you don't want to be without it, so you try to have 2. I have 2 generators. I have
So
2
it's a backup plan.
Right. So yeah, so I try to be ready for if something happens to my solar system, to my supply of electricity, I can still do things without it.
Okay. And what would you say is the hardest thing for you being off grid?
Wow.
The
And you
hardest.
asked me this one. The hardest thing of being off grid, I'm gonna say when it's dark in the winter for a really long time, and I'm trying to conserve energy, and get through that. Uh, because like my channel motto is off grid in the 21st century. We try to live a modern life without all the trappings of conventional life. Watering my plants, figuring out how to get the water from my rainwater catchment system to the plants, that is posing a slight challenge now. And starting the generator just for a cup of coffee.
It has to be an epic coffee.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
That if I would go off grid, I don't think we will, because like with 3 young kids, that would be like, I would have to wait that they're teenagers, but I would have to have a way to have coffee. I use the pour over method. Do you know what that is?
Mm-hmm. Where you put the
It's like a cone. It's a
yeah.
number 2 filter. You put a certain amount of coffee that's grounded, and then you boil your water.
Yeah.
And then you just pour it over.
We have several coffee percolators. like the old cowboy coffee makers there.
Mhm.
Um, and we also have in our pantry um, uh, a stock of instant coffee.
Yeah, but that doesn't taste the same.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Um,
If you're not crunchy in a rush, maybe, but if like a good coffee in the morning,
I
instant.
recently got addicted to it's a nut and caramel mix for the Keurig.
Mm, mm, mm,
It
mm.
is delicious. But basically, I think I mentioned earlier, I've been doing a lot of the
The
echinacea
tea.
mint tea, just because I don't feel like going out and starting a generator, and with gas being this high, uh, so I'm thinking of going ahead and pulling down one of the percolators and starting to percolate my coffee. But because I don't know, is it worth it for 1 or 2 cups?
Of course, it's a survival need.
By the way, if you ever run out of coffee, um, chicory, which grows by roadsides, you can cut up the roots and roast them, and that's a coffee substitute. I believe dandelion root, you can roast
Yes,
that
I heard
and
about
coffee
dandelion root.
substitute. Um,
Well, I try not to run out of coffee.
right.
So when I go to Costco, like I buy instead of buying one bag, I'll buy two.
Yeah.
So I have 2 kilos of coffee, and I buy the beans,
Yeah.
not the powder, because if it's powdered, it doesn't store as long and it doesn't
Right.
store the taste as long. But when you buy the beans, it stays fresher longer. So
Yeah.
I try not to lack coffee because it's a survival need here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember you said that you walled up a pantry.
Hmm.
So you sacrifice personal space to have pantry space inside the cabin.
Oh yes.
So
Oh
that
yeah.
was a requirement when you build a cabin.
Yeah. It, we because of the winters that we used to have, um, and living on a seasonal road, um, if something happens and we get snowed in for whether it's the truck breaking down and not able to plow or whatever, we just always felt that it was prudent to have a good store of food.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, the pantry was always it. We had a hard time deciding where to put the pantry, where to put the bathroom, but the pantry, I think well, we used an outhouse for a very long time, but the pantry was closed in almost as soon as the house was closed in.
I
Um,
think I would have done the same thing. Prioritize. Like I would live. It would be hard. I would have an outhouse in a functional pantry. I don't have a root cellar either. That's something I would really, really, really want.
yeah,
But so I created like I have 2 pantries, one down the stairs to go downstairs, and if need be, I'm gonna put some under my bed.
yeah, yeah,
If like this year I started pressure canning, and like I kind of got addicted to it.
yeah,
So instead of using freezer space, I am using canning jars. So I'm probably gonna have to put some under the beds in the winter, like store them downstairs, and then as soon as the house gets cold enough, like
mhm,
15 degrees upstairs, I'm gonna put them under the beds
yeah,
because pantry is gonna be full probably with just the garden without the pressure canning stuff that I'm doing.
right. Cat. Oh goodness.
Your cats are acting up.
Yes, they are.
I'm going
Oh,
to ask you one more question, and this is for the viewers and whoever's watching on replay. What would be the tips, tricks, and suggestions you would give to people that are looking or in search of being off grid, or like either for preserving, storing, or just the off grid lifestyle?
um, if you're looking for land, water is a priority. We don't have a running stream, but if we did, I could. There's so much you can do with running water in a creek and such. Preserving food, root cellars, sometimes just digging a hole in the ground, or when I put my well in, it was a dug well, and I used the corrugated culvert pipe. That way, if our refrigeration ever did go down, I could put put the stuff that had to be refrigerated in a basket, lower it down there, and it would keep it at right around 40 degrees.
So you wouldn't lose your food.
Right. Yes, preserving your food is really it's very important, especially if you do it without refrigeration. Learn all you can from YouTube and online, and just have the mindset that there's going to be more work to it. For a while, we were transporting water. We had an outhouse that's off in the woods a little ways, filling water barrels instead of pumping directly out of the water. There's going to be a little more work to it, but in my opinion, it's worth it, because the grid could go down, the electrical grid could go down tomorrow, and I won't know it. The only way I know that there's power problems is my mom still to this day calls me. She's used to me living down the road from her, and she calls me and says, "Is your power out?" I'm like, "Mom, I haven't had a power outage in years." But yeah, do your research, do your due diligence, and there are cheaper ways to do almost anything, to be frugal about it.
So you have to be open-minded.
Absolutely.
You have to have a certain plan. You have to expect failure.
Oh, yes. I've learned more lessons from failure than anything. It's amazing what you'll learn from having a crop of beans go to seed without harvesting it. You learn,
True.
okay, I'm going to prioritize stuff like that from now on.
Yes. Okay. Does anyone have specific questions for Tracy? Dun, dun, dun.
For the coffee, I don't think I would dare use my wood stove. If I started my wood stove right now with every window in the house open, I wouldn't be able to be inside. But I do have a fire pit that I haven't used in years that I could.
That's what I was gonna, and I was gonna say, if you have like a camping fire, you can go outside, eat breakfast, cook your breakfast outside, and have like boiling water there, and only use the resources of a fire instead of gas.
When you go off grid, you can't know enough bushcraft. It's not vital to know the bushcraft, but man, it sure does make it a lot easier. A clear path, yes. Orient your property when you're looking at property. Think about it. Okay, can I cut the trees far enough to the south from where I would put my panels so that they're not blocking the sun? Because
an open field south would be preferable.
yes. Whereas we were a wood lot and we had to clear the 3 acres, a lot of where stuff went was because we had a vision of where our solar panels were going to go, where our well had to go. And you want things placed conveniently, because if you don't have water pumps, or an outdoor spigot, you have a lot of times you end up using gravity water from your totes, or carry. Last few days, I've been too lazy to hook up the 1-inch, the gasoline water pump to fill the 55-gallon drum I've got over by the greenhouse. So I've been carrying water from my rain barrels, my rain totes.
At least you're getting in shape.
Yes.
You're doing exercise.
Yes, between that and sifting the topsoil manure that my son-in-law brought me, yeah.
You're no longer using the little.
No, I'm not using that little one anymore.
I
That was,
laughed. I laughed so much when I saw that video.
oh man, my hand, my wrist and forearm. I mean, it packed up there, but man, that was just
It was
horrible.
another level of complicated.
Yes.
Melissa wants to know, how often do you replace your batteries? Patrick said 10 to 15 years, but you said that you have the Walmart brand, which is about 7 years, if my memory is correct.
Yeah. Ours, I kept an eye on them because they're just like the deep cycle batteries to run a trolling motor or a boat, that are made to be drained and recharged. Um, but yeah, I think ours lasted 4 years before I had to replace them. I didn't really have to replace them, but I noticed that in the morning I would wake up and I would be like at 12.1. I was well under the 50%. You never want to drain a battery more than 50% if you can help it.
Okay.
And um, I was below that, so I replaced the batteries. The lithium phosphate, I think it's LiPo batteries, LiPo 4 batteries. Um, they have, in the last 4 or 5 years, they have, the technology and the batteries have increased in quality so much that, yeah, they should last 7 to 10 years easy if you buy the right, for entry level solar stuff. There's Renogy, Renogy. I'm not affiliated with them at all, um, but they have kits, and their catalog actually is doubles as an instruction manual for how to set up your own solar panels.
That's nice. I was going to say, before I'm going to read this comment, um, for someone to go off grid, have a plan. We said that, but be aware that it's an investment,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to only pay off down the road.
Right.
So the building of the infrastructure will be a big investment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My inverter was like $500. It was somewhere around $300 to $500 at the time for my 200-watt system. And then when we upgraded, it was several $100 for the new charge controller, and the panels I got secondhand, because the states have to get these solar farms. They can only run a solar panel for so long, and then they have to replace it. A friend of mine got hold of some and sold them to me cheap, but I had that initial investment, but I haven't paid a monthly electric bill or hydro bill
Yeah,
in
in
years.
years. So the investment is like all in front, but then per
Right,
month you kind of get it back.
right.
Jill is asking, any tips on homesteading alone, i.e., managing the workload?
Um, make things as easy on yourself as you can. There's not one of us that are getting younger, and this is something. There's a lady that I've known all my life. She was my Sunday school teacher when I was like 6, 7 years old, and I go and I help her set up her garden fence, and I shovel her roofs from time to time in the winter. Um, as you're setting up, make it as easy as possible. If you are building a house, um, try to do roof like Patrick's. His is awesome, but I will never, any of the roofs on any of my outbuildings, I will never have to shovel. They're at a decent angle, and they're built strong enough to hold a snow load if they had to. and make things as easy as you can, and then improve on them what you can, because eventually it's going to get hard to carry water for you, or just you get sick of it. Our whole reason for putting in a septic system was Wendy got tired of going out to the outhouse in the middle of the night. It was as simple as that. Next thing I know, I'm putting a septic system tank in, and
I am a family, but I homestead alone, and well, mostly alone. I would say have systems to make it easier
yeah,
for you. If you can get stuff automated, if you can get an automatic watering system and you can afford it, get it. If
mhm,
you can have weed fabric, weed woven ground cover, and you can make the investment, do it, because that time you're going to save it to do something else.
yeah,
Or if you can't invest in that, try to find wood chips
wood
or
chips, yeah,
hay or obviously not sprayed to make your life easier. But there's another thing. If you can't handle the workload, bring down the workload.
yeah,
If you can't manage a homestead on your own and you're always overwhelmed, you're going to burn yourself out.
yeah.
So maybe like cut, if you can cut, example, instead of growing tomatoes, you can find someone local that can, you can buy your tomatoes so that you can bring down the workload for yourself and not always feel exhausted and discouraged. Because if you're always in that mental state of exhaustion, at one point you're going to quit.
The this It's really important to be able to be single-minded to a point of, okay, today I'm going to put in X amount of beds. Okay. Now, and this is I am lazy. But I said I was going to put in my cucumber beds and my tomato beds, or my tomato bed. Um, and I got done with that, and I came inside. I do most of my work in the morning, and then mid to early afternoon, I come in, I do a little bit in the house, not a whole lot, but then I relax until it's time for the evening chores, watering the plants that are in the containers and taking care of the chickens and the pigs and such. You, it needs to be enjoyable. Um, I don't deal well with stress, so I try to take the stress out of it. But the original garden, and don't let me get preachy, but in Genesis, the original garden, man was meant was told by God to take care of the garden, but yet he never. It wasn't by toiling or sweating of the brow until the fall. Then it became hard. Now we have to toil and we have to till the ground and deal with the things since the fall, but we should be able to enjoy it. Um, just being out there listening to the birds or watching your flowers develop into fruit. Um, Take time to enjoy it, because if you don't, you can burn out, and that's not going to help you in the long run. Um, and like Annie said, the systems are so vitally important. If you can run a hose to be closer to where you need the water, that's the way to go. Uh, for me, you'll see in my videos with the beds. I said, well, I parked the trailer on purpose that had the soil in it away from the bed, because I'm trying to lose weight. I'm I I need to get exercise. Otherwise, I'm going to go hunting this year and try to drag a deer and end up with a heart attack. Um, and I don't want that.
No, we don't. I just got a message from my husband.
Okay.
The kids are starting to create chaos like crazy. So I thank you for answering all my questions. Next week, I just got the confirmation from Patrick that he is going to do another version of this of Off Grid. So thanks, Patrick.
Yeah.
If you want to join us and you feel you haven't answered the questions thoroughly and you want to add up, you're more than welcome to join us.
Okay.
And Patrick says, not sure if I would do the roof setup again. If I was making a new, it is a burden when you think of where you put your solar panel.
Right.
So thanks, Remy. So thanks everyone for popping in. And if you have more questions, put them here or in the community tab somewhere. I'll write them down and I'll make sure to ask the same questions next week. Thanks, Jill. Patrick will be on everyone's live before he starts his own. Yes.
I got to tell you, you get talking. Patrick and I on my live Thursday night, we got talking, and next thing I know, 3 hours were gone. It was amazing. He is a wealth of information.
I can't wait to see that. So everyone, thank you for passing by. Have a nice evening, everyone.
Y'all have a good one.
Bye.